An airbrush can completely change your painting workflow. It gives you smooth and even coverage, and also saves you a lot of time. Base coats, priming, zenithal highlights, OSL gradients, quick painting jobs, and countless other techniques become much easier to explore. That means you save time on the basics and can invest more time into advanced painting techniques. So if you haven't started using an airbrush yet, maybe it's time. For those who don't know, this is an airbrush. It's incredibly useful for a bunch of painting techniques, but choosing the right equipment and knowing how to use and maintain it properly can make all the difference. Hello, I'm Robert, and in this video we'll share some quick tips to help you get started and avoid some very common mistakes. Stick around until the end because, of course, the best tips are waiting for you there. And keep an eye for scams, they are everywhere. A portable compressor can actually be a great way to start. But if you have some extra budget and don't need to take it everywhere, wait a second. Get one with a tank. An airbrush works through compressed air, which sprays paint in a controlled and consistent way onto your model. So a basic setup usually consists of a compressor, a hose, ideally a moisture trap or a water filter, some paints, a cleaning kit, and of course, the airbrush itself. First, and definitely the most important, the main compressor we use here is a model with an external air tank. That guarantees a more consistent airflow with a stable pressure, even when increasing the air output. However, it's a huge piece of equipment, less portable, more expensive, and it requires some preventive maintenance from time to time. There are also direct compressors, which don't have an air tank, but can still deliver good results. Even so, they're not exactly something you can throw into a backpack and take to your friend's house for a painting session. Now, for that kind of situation, portable compressors can be a great option. Despite their pressure limitations, they offer some real advantages for quicker and more practical painting sessions. If you're buying your first airbrush, get an entry-level dual action one. And honestly, buy a cheaper one, because chances are you're going to mess it up eventually, and it's important that you are not afraid of damaging it while you're learning. That said, get an entry-level airbrush, but not the absolute cheapest one you can find. It's too low quality, you may struggle to adjust it properly, and instead of learning how to use an airbrush, you just end up fighting against the tool. The quality of your painting depends both on the quality of the airbrush and on your own experience. And with so many models out there with different trigger systems, cup sizes, needle sizes, and adjustment options, this video could easily turn into a full masterclass. So instead, we'll show just what works best for us. Now, come here. If you want a full masterclass with Lutz painting team, let us know in the comments. Who knows what will be the best team for our next free course? Here at Lutz Studios, we mostly use dual action airbrushes for painting miniatures. But first, what the heck is a dual action airbrush? Well, it's an airbrush where you press down for air and pull back to control the paint flow, giving you much more precision. A 0.3mm needle works really well for most miniatures, and we are rarely going thinner than that since acrylic paint usually aren't ideal for ultra-fine needles. And if you want to test your skills with ultra-fine details, download our free mini pack and test it out on a red wormling dragon. The link will be in the description. Now, don't be a cheapskate and buy one of those cheap cleaning kits with tiny brushes. Seriously, that is a scam. A lot of problems people have with airbrushes are actually caused by the user, and the user, it's you, my friend. The biggest source of frustration when using an airbrush is usually the cleaning process. Since an airbrush has several metal parts and all of them need to stay clean for it to work properly, we need to take a few precautions. And it is also good to remember that you're working with paint that dries when exposed to air. Your airbrush needs to stay spotless every single time. Use it, clean it. But I don't use it, I'll clean it. But I clean it. The quality of your painting depends on it, okay? The simplest way to clean your airbrush is by combining a cleaning brush kit with the airbrush's own air pressure. Those tiny brushes made for dental appliances work really well for that. First, add some water to the paint cup, scrub the excess paint inside with a sponge or a brush, and dump it out. Then, while pressing the trigger, cover the airbrush tip with your finger to create backflow. It's also known as backwashing or gargling. This forces air back through the internal system and helps loosen any paint stuck inside. After that, remove the needle, the nozzle, the crown, and the front end parts to clean them separately. That way, your airbrush stays ready for the next color. At this point, it's also worth having a proper airbrush cleaning solution in your kit. You can use it after dumping the water out to remove any leftover paint. It is also key for you to leave a little bit inside the paint cup temporarily to prevent painting residue from drying. If one day you need to completely disassemble your brush for a deep clean, the best thing you can do is find a tutorial for your exact model, or even record yourself while taking it apart. That way, you won't feel completely lost when it's time to put everything back together. If you want to see exactly how we do it, step by step, comment below and let us know. That said, the most professional way to clean an airbrush would be with an ultrasonic cleaner. Oh, you know, unless you already own one, it's probably not worth buying just for that. Soaking the metal parts in warm or hot water can help soften dried paint and make it much easier to scrub everything clean. Now, an important disclaimer is, if you wash your airbrush thoroughly, it can remove lubricant from the internal parts. So after deep cleaning it, lubricate it properly. A specific airbrush lubricant or even bike oil is often recommended. Just avoid the mineral oils, please. Not every paint is ready to go straight into an airbrush. Since an airbrush works with pressure, getting the right paint consistency is essential for smooth spraying and solid coverage. It's a little difficult to show the exact consistency on the video, and there's no universal ratio of water and paint that works for every brand. But generally speaking, you're aiming for something between milk and drinkable yogurt texture. Remember not to drink it, please. Not too thin or the paint won't cover properly and may run. And not too thick or it won't flow well and may start sputtering or clogging. Usually, primer already comes airbrush ready, so it can be a good reference point for ideal consistency. And here's a simple rule to remember. The thinner the paint, the less pressure you need. The thicker the paint, the more pressure you need. Now, for something simple and quick, if your compressor has pressure control, you want to adjust it depending on what kind of painting you're doing. If you're covering large areas, increasing pressure to around 30 to 40 psi can help you work faster. Around 20 psi is usually a good standard pressure for general painting. And for finer details, you want to go even lower than that. That said, line thickness is also heavily related to trigger control. So while pressure matters, learning how to control the airbrush itself matters even more. And honestly, the only way to get comfortable with that is basically through practice. Grab a sheet of paper and start spraying. Try different line thickness, dots, gradients, change the pressure and the paint consistency. Test every variable you can. That way, when it's time to paint your actual miniature, you'll feel much more confident and much less likely to ruin your model. And of course, don't get frustrated if something goes sideways. There's almost always a solution. And if you're already subscribed to our channel, chances are you've seen us using airbrushes in plenty of our painting tutorials, so you're even less likely to run into trouble. Now, if you're not subscribed yet, well, you're the one missing it. So stop wasting time, subscribe to our channel, and while you're at it, leave a like on this video too. A quick release connector is a low-cost upgrade that's absolutely worth it. There are few inexpensive accessories that can make your life much easier. The quick release connector is one of them. It's not mandatory, but it makes cleaning and maintenance way easier. An airbrush holder is another simple but very useful accessory. It helps keep your workspace organized and prevent some accidents. Now, a moisture trap or water filter is extremely helpful to prevent water condensation from reaching your paint and ruining your work. It's a small investment for a big quality of life improvement. A spray booth with an exhaust system and paint filter is an essential, but it definitely brings peace of mind. Now, you don't need to invest in a complete professional setup right away. Owning an airbrush can make painting so much easier. However, for it to stay helpful in the long run, you need to think about the environment you're using it in. Even if you're mostly using water-based acrylic paints, having a dedicated, well-ventilated area where you won't make a huge mess makes the whole experience much more enjoyable. Even simple things just like covering your desk and painting a well-ventilated room already makes a huge difference. Over time, depending on how often you use your airbrush, you'll figure out whether portable spray booths or even a full exhaust system makes sense for you. But no matter what, always use PPE. At the very least, wear gloves to avoid getting paint all over your hands and nails. And wear N95 masks to avoid inhaling paint particles. Even if the paint itself isn't highly toxic, breathing in the paint dust over the time is never a good idea. And it also avoids the stress of having to wash your hands forever to remove the paint that got stuck under your nails. Trust me, that sucks. Now, the best tip we can give you is share your experiences, tips, and questions with our community. It's people like you who make this space so valuable. And if you are a Loot subscriber, our members Discord server is the perfect place to connect with channels dedicated to painting, printing, and all kinds of hobbies and discussions, where both the community and our team help each other every day. If this video was helpful, help us preach the word of the airbrush. Leave a like, share with that friend who needs to improve their painting skills ASAP, and drop your tips and questions in the comments below. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you in the next one.